Good morning. Can't wait for Wednesday to hear about the Nephilim. All right. Well, this morning, I guess if you, I think I'm supposed to have a title for these now. Matt always asks me like what my title is when I don't ever really have like a specific title or anything. But I made one this time because I knew he was going to ask me about it. So the title is "Behold Him." The two little dots. Semicolon. That's semicolon, right? Colon, semicolon. Just a colon. Okay, all right, so it's Behold Him, colon, history of a praying people. Okay, all right. So, man, one thing that I think Matt said something a little while back. I forget exactly what he was talking about. But he was just talking about the church at large and us as Christians, especially in America, really being disassociated with the history of the church. About us not really we don't know the history of the church. We don't know the history of our faith, really. We know biblical stuff, and then we know the last 50-ish years, 30 years, whatever. As American Christians, that's kind of the limit of our knowledge. And I'm right there. I'm just as guilty. But one thing when he was talking about that, I consider myself to be a pretty big history guy. But again, it's the things that I've really been interested in and leaned into have been U.S. history since America was founded and wars and all this kind of stuff. But same as most Christians, I've not ever really done a deep dive into church history and the things that the Lord has done in previous generations. And one thing that the Lord was pressing on me as I was kind of leaning into this idea was that part of being adopted into the body of Christ is that we are also grafted into that church history. We become part of His family and His bride, the church, which has been going for 2,000 plus years. We take on the history that has already been throughout the earth for these last 2,000 years. We take that on ourselves. And I kind of had this image of when you're at I think of being a kid at a family gathering, and you have all your parents and your aunts and uncles and your grandparents and all these people that you are way older than you, and they're all just telling stories. They're telling family stories about their parents and their parents, and man, remember this time when we were kids and on the farm, this whole thing, and you're just fascinated as a little kid listening to these stories and being man, there's a lot of stuff that happened when I wasn't around. There's a lot to this family that I don't understand, but I'm a part of it because I'm here and I get to listen to this crazy story about my great grandpa when he flipped a tractor or did, you know what I mean? Did something crazy. I get to be the beneficiary of hearing these insane stories years later. And that's kind of the impression that I had when I was Lord, why are we why am I supposed to talk about this? I guess I don't really understand the reasoning. But that's what he was kind of pressing on me, was because we are disconnected from the history of the church and the incredible things the Lord has done. And so I just want to lean into one specific area of that today. And people have mentioned stuff and talked about stuff with the Moravians before. But that's kind of what I want to lean into this morning. So The Moravians, it's a group of people, a church back in, 1700s, earlier than that, 1400s, all the way through that whole time period, all the way up till current day, okay? But just to give you some context, this specific story that I'm kind of leaning into happened in Saxony, which is modern day Germany, okay? So that region, and it was in 1727, there was a man named Nicholas Zinzendorf, all right? Zinzendorf, it's an awesome name. Full name, Nicholas Ludwig Reichsgraf von Zinzendorf und Pontendorf, all right? Long name. You can look it up on your own, Cole, all right? I'm not spelling that out. So, there's a lot going on to this name, all right? We'll call him Zinzendorf for short, all right? That's what we'll refer to him as, okay? So, Zinzendorf was the pastor of this group of people, all right? It's about 300 people in their church in this region. This specific church had been going for about 5 years, I believe. Like, he had been leading it for about 5 years at this point. I guess I shouldn't say had been going for 5 years. He had been leading it for about 5 years, I believe. And at that time, based on records, like, their church was just a normal church where they had some dissension within the ranks. There was like some infighting stuff between members of the church. There was some bickering and bitterness kind of stuff going on. Kind of like human nature type stuff going on within this church, okay? But basically, Zinzendorf was kind of sick of what he was experiencing and the way that the church was going, and decided that there needed to be a change. So he himself and a few others around him essentially just made covenant with the Lord that they were going to pray and seek revival in the midst of all this turmoil like they had not done before. Yeah. So, and this was at the beginning of 1727, okay? So they started to intentionally just go in and pray nonstop, like just all the time. Like, these people were just praying for revival to break out. And then on May 12th of that year, it happened. Revival fell on their little church. And I wrote down a quote here. Because it was said, the whole place represented truly a visible habitation of God among men, is what was said. And that lasted for like 4 months. So it was like a 4-month-long revival at this church of like 300 people, where nobody expected it to happen except Zinzendorf and a few of his friends were like, hey, we are going to see this happen. Yeah. And so they prayed for it and they saw it. So then within that 4 months, on August 27th of that year, there were 24 men and 24 women who again made covenant to praying for 1 hour time slots continuously throughout the day, so that there was never a time when somebody wasn't praying. So they each broke it up, and they're like, hey, I'm going to take midnight to 1 a.m. The next person, I'm taking 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So for the whole 24 hours, every day, somebody was praying, and there was incense rising to the Lord at all times. That came out of that revival. That wasn't a... If you look at the timeline there, that was still while the revival was going. That wasn't like hey, the revival is done. Right. Like, what can we do to try to get it back? It was, no, the Lord's already moving. What can we do to further give him glory in this place? And then they set up those parameters so they always had somebody praying night and day and night, just nonstop. So they put that in place, and then that continued for over 100 years. Like, I don't know if we can really truly grasp that with like how, as Americans, I think that our country being so young, it's hard to like really think about that stuff. But think about if there was still in our church a 24-hour prayer meeting going on that had been going since 1925. Like, that's incredible to think about. Like, that's the scope of what we're talking about, of how long they were going with like through world wars, through all this, like, just, man, like that's what it would be like. But basically what they were pulling from was Leviticus 6, 12 through and 13. When he says, the fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and he shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offering. Fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually. It shall not go out. And what the Lord was pressing on me is, man, this is our history. Like, even though in America we haven't had that, like my hypothetical from 1925 until today, maybe we haven't had that. But in the spirit, in the history of our lineage, we do have that. Yeah. We have them who over in modern day Germany did it for 100 years. Yes. And to this day, they have revived that spirit. The Moravian Church has revived that, and they continue to do that to this day. Now, another crazy thing too is that, when I was reading this story initially, I was like, man, these guys must like, Zinzendorf must have been like, when this all started, it sounds like he was probably like 50 or 60. The dude was 27 years old when they started it. He only lived to be 60 years old. So he spent 33 years being so consumed with beholding the Lord that he committed himself to day and night prayer, making sure that somebody was rising up the incense of prayer for the last 33 years of his life, which is insane. Like, he did that for more than half of his life, longer than his life before that is what he spent making sure that there was prayer going up to the Lord. But yeah, that was really the biggest thing that I wanted us to really grasp today is, first and foremost, that's our history. That's what we come from. Yeah. Like the American church sometimes, I think that, we've become so used to the norm, and you go to church on Sunday and you pray before meals and all this stuff, but like, man, we have been truly grafted into an amazing history of people who just 100% sold out for the Lord. 100% just leaned in so hard that there was no leeway when it was like, hey, no, this is my hour. I have a responsibility not just to the Lord, but to my church, my brothers and sisters who are all doing the same thing. They've all committed the same thing. This is my responsibility. This is how the sacrifice that I can give back. And I'm not saying that we need to implement that. Maybe we do. I don't know. I think that'd be insane. But I will say, one thing that I was thinking on that really made me, I was getting stoked on it, but like with our church, even with our size, like we're not a huge church by any means. But I truly think that if you broke down the people in our church, if there was a way like the Lord is looking down on a timeline of prayer of all of us that's like going up to him, I would bet a lot of money that we would be pretty dang close to being 24 hours a day. To be totally honest, with the people that we have in this church and the way that people operate that I know of, and the people that I don't know of, I think that we would probably be pretty close to that. So I guess apart from just us understanding that and a better knowing of who we truly are in the Lord, in his family, and being part of his bride and the history that comes along with that, I just want to encourage you as well, like, man, if you're not doing that, like dedicating an hour a day, like I know that it can seem like daunting, but even just for like this next week, just try to say, all right, Lord, this is, we don't have a schedule, but man, what if, and just start with something that some time you're already awake, that's fine. But what if you were like, hey, from 7 to 8 this morning, this is going to be my time where I make sure that there is somebody that's raising up prayer, and there is incense that's going to the Lord. Before I go to bed from 9 to 10, this is going to be my time. Like this is what I'm going to commit to you, Lord, that this is it. And if you're already doing that, great. Maybe stretch yourself a little bit. Speaking to me, myself, hey, maybe get crazy and just set an alarm for 3 in the morning. Or you know what I mean? Like be like, hey, let's just stretch it a little bit and say, man, I wonder if anybody in our church is praying at 3 in the morning.
Right. That's good.
Maybe they're not. Maybe I could be the one that is doing that. Maybe I could be the one that's making sure that this hour there is incense rising to the Lord. And just, man, if that was birthed out of what the Lord was doing in a place of revival, man, I think we take for granted what the Lord has been doing in this house.
Yeah.
Like the things that he does, the way that he moves in power in this place. Man, I just want to not take that for granted and just keep just heaping logs on the fire and never let the smoke stop rising. So man, that's kind of my encouragement this morning is, man, just ask the Lord, man, is there something that I might be able to just sacrifice a little bit more and just have a little bit better of an offering so that I know that we're covering the spread. And who knows, maybe someday we'll have a little spreadsheet where we send it out and you just put in your name, or like, hey, I'm gonna be doing this hour, which would be sick. That'd be cool. But man, just something to ponder on, and for yourself too, as we go forward. I know that I have been kind of challenging myself to dig deeper into the history of the church and the things that the Lord has moved in. Do that for yourself as well. Like, know the history of the church and really just research and look at the ways that the Lord has moved, not just in America, but for the almost 2,000 years before America was even a thing. The Lord has been moving over the entire earth before we even existed here in this place. And we have spiritual and probably physical ancestors from years and years and years past that were mighty men and women of God, that we get to draw strength from their testimony. So yeah, that's what I got. Let's get it this morning.